Hello guys, welcome back to YTGC now, and this time around we're going to talk about, of course, the Oculus Rift. Now, John Carmack basically recently talked at the Gamers Developers Conference about the challenges and opportunities of virtual reality on mobile devices. Obviously, the first thing he addressed off the bat is motion sickness, because obviously that's the number one thing I think people say, that, if these things make people sick, let's be honest, a highest enough percentage, though probably not the majority, right? That, like, how are these products going to be used by everybody? He did say, that was the real issue they were worried about, but we're surprised that it has not been as big of a deal as they thought it was going to be. Obviously, they're surprised they have never seen a video of someone on YouTube throwing up using the Oculus Rift. But he said it didn't seem to be as issue as they thought it was going to be. But here's my thing about it. You can test this out all you want, truthfully, and all you want. But any device, whether it be a controller or a headset or a motion controller, there's always going to be that limited amount of audience that can't use it, right? That's always been the thing. Now, with virtual reality, let's talk about virtual reality. Even if you don't have, like, motion sickness, there is going to be a thing. If you use it to a certain point, your eyes and everything are going to be affected by it. I mean, it's not like it's going to be massive. I mean, it's not like, say, oh my gosh, use it for a couple minutes. But if you were, like, obsessively playing for several hours, there will be a little bit of an adjustment after you take the headset off, right? But will this actually, here's the thing. We all would love to see what virtual reality is going to do. It's the truth. It's not, I know people bring up the fact, and my other videos about how, how could people can't see, the actual, what virtual reality could do. Well, let's be honest, for the last 30 years they said virtual reality is coming, and it hasn't ever showed up, right, or taken off. And the truth is, despite what we would think would be really cool, it is on the people who make the headsets and the developers of the games to give us what we think these things could be. How many technology devices in gaming in the recent years have not lived up to the hype? The Wii, the Kinect, they took it, we thought they could do more cooler things than they did, and never lived up to what we thought the potential was. And that's what the only concern about this is. Why I think, virtual reality could be big, and I would definitely love to and try that experience. It's up to them to give us the experience that we want, and that comes down, of course, to the price and the games, obviously, or what you can do on it. Not just necessarily games, because I mean, there's probably a lot of things you could do that could come out of this. But he also brought up the fact that, of course, they see a day when, of course, virtual reality will reach more than 1 billion people or more, and that won't happen if VR is limited to PC or console. That obviously you have to move into mobile powered VR, and saying that there's no way that a console or a PC could do that on its own. And obviously mobile is big. Everybody has a mobile phone these days. So if you make it to a mobile device and people use it, that's probably honestly the biggest market out there. And obviously you could do a lot of things with virtual reality, right? Not just, obviously gaming. You could do a lot of things with that. Of course they see it bigger than gaming, but you have to have something to get people interested in it, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to. You start, the first thing you get people interested in, then you expand out, right? Like, for example, the Wii, right? The Wii was, you saw the motion control was cool, and then they did something like Wii Fit, which people weren't, expecting, and, Wii Fit sold like crazy, right? Obviously, they also brought up the fact about Valve, and then their recently announced partnership with the virtual reality thing, saying that obviously, Carmack wouldn't say anything bad. He obviously said that Valve had done a great job with Steam, and that we have our work cut out for us to show why Oculus is the best platform. He also touched on, of course, Microsoft HoloLenses. They say they don't consider that a direct competitor, which I won't necessarily say that is true. Why Microsoft is developing this, and yes, that for the consoles and stuff, they could port that to PC, right? And there are Windows phones that Microsoft could put that to mobile space at some point. So I don't necessarily agree. They're not necessarily right now where their platforms are going to be. They're not going to be direct competitors, but down the road they could be. And Carmack finally announced that Samsung and Oculus will be making a major push for Gear VR later this year. he didn't obviously specific pricing announcement or any expected dates, but he did say mobile VR fans can expect the next iteration of Gear VR headset, one designed for consumers, not just developers, to launch later this year. So you are going to get that this year. You are going to get to test this Gear VR. It's going to be out. You're going to be able to try it out. Now again, with Project Morpheus being announced for 2016 and all these other headsets out there, it's whoever comes out, not only comes out, you know, the sooner you come out the better. It's always good to be one of the first ones out the gate. Like for example, Oculus Rift were to come out tomorrow, the name and the recognition alone would make people seek it out. The second thing is making it what people want to play or do on it, and making it an easy to use experience. Whoever does that first is going to win. Now what that winning means, we don't know, right? Right now we only could talk about potential. Who knows, honestly, right now, what the actual market of people who would buy it is. While most people would say virtual reality would be cool and they'd like to try it, are they willing to put the money down to do it? That is the only question. It's like a lot of things when you talk to technology, from the USB port to other stuff, like Apple, for example. A lot of stuff Apple did was not new. They just did it in a way that seemed cool, or that it was the time where public were willing to accept it. The same thing comes down to this. Is it the time where the public is really willing to accept virtual reality and buy all in? That is the real question here. Like, there's no doubt that it's going to be cool, and with all these companies making it, and competition always breeds the best of any product, which is the best thing. If we only had one company making this, they would control the market, and therefore there would be no competition, nothing to force them to make it better. Obviously, Oculus has an advantage with the fact with Google back behind them, Facebook back behind them. I don't know why I said Google. Facebook back behind them, and obviously the money in deep pockets gives them, you know, in some ways an advantage over other with their social media. And obviously with the platform that Facebook is, they could generate a lot of attention towards this. So what do you think about this? Comments about the Oculus Rift, and obviously it makes sense that you get out and everything possible to further push as many people to buy as possible. But if you had one platform you would buy the Oculus Rift on that it could come off on, what would it be? Would you, your mobile device, your home computer, your game console? What device for you would make the most sense for Oculus Rift? Obviously people can't be walking around with this stuff. I mean, you can't be walking around in public with stuff. You're walking in regular streets because you'd be too distracted, right? I mean, I do think that is a true thing when you come to, like, when you see people on their cell phones so often, they're just not paying attention to what they're doing, right? If they're out in public with us walking around, again, ultimately, what do you see the virtual reality being? I mean, I know people talk about the gaming side, but ultimately, what do you expect it to be when it's all said and done? I mean, I do expect it to be bigger than gaming if it does take off. I mean, a lot of facets, a lot of cool little things could be done with it. And obviously, integrating and tying it to everything that you do is always a big deal with any technology these days, you know. So, you know, it could have it where reminders pop up, or who knows what they could do with it. They could do a lot of cool things with it, obviously, and you know, like Google Map kind of thing, where you could literally walk virtually with the headset on, look around and walk at like certain locations, you know, looking around in there in the glasses, you know, on your head would be kind of cool. But what do you think about all this? Do you think, and of course, Gear VR. Are you all in to buy Gear VR when it comes out for mobile devices, or is there just another platform you're waiting for? Anyway, I've babbled on and left today, guys. Love to hear you guys' comments like always, and I will make another video soon.